Hey folks, welcome back to Ferrigno Freedom channel. I'm Dante Ferrigno and I have been on a carnivore diet now known as the Lion Diet for a little over 4 years, and it has just done things for me that have been amazing. Today I am going to be speaking with Coach Lisa Pickart. A lot of you may already know Lisa because she's a rising star in the carnivore world out there, and she is helping a lot of people get much healthier than they used to be by doing all kinds of things with giving them diet ideas and what they should be eating, exercise. I mean, she really covers the whole gambit. We met in Tampa at the Kilts sponsored Healing Humanity event this year, and we've had a great friendship ever since. And I just wanted to be able to have her come on and take a look at some blood work numbers that I recently had done because I thought she would be great. She does a lot of blood work numbers with people, and I thought it would be interesting for you. We do kind of go all over the place in this interview, and I know it's a little bit long, but I guarantee you, you won't be disappointed if you watch it. I will eventually make some smaller versions of this so that you can see maybe just the blood work numbers by themselves. But for now, I hope you'll enjoy watching this video. Before we get started, if you don't mind, please watch this quick ad from one of my affiliates because they've been supporting my channel for a long time, and I think they make a wonderful product. As our skin is the largest organ on our body, it's something that we should definitely take care of. And for the last couple of years, I've been using Vintage Tradition products to do just that. I love their tallow soaps. I love their lip balm. I also love their skin balm. And what I love about Vintage Tradition, they only use suet, so it's really pure stuff. And they used cold pressed extra virgin olive oils. Now, I prefer the unscented versions myself. However, my wife really loves the Pretty Girly Tallow Balm. They have a variety of items to choose from, so you can find one that fits your preference. And you can know that you're not only using some of the healthiest stuff that you could put on your skin, because tallow nourishes your skin. If you wouldn't eat it, I wouldn't put it on your skin. Check them out now at vintagetradition.com and be sure to use my discount code Dante, D-A-N-T-E, to save 10% on your order. Now back to the video.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey.
How's that sound? Okay.
Everything sounds good. Yeah, we're ready to go. As a matter of fact, I start recording right at the beginning because I never want to miss anything that might be good that comes up.
The best part is you get to go back and edit it.
That's true. I can. I try to do less and less of that. People like it nice and raw, but you know.
Well, I have a hair in my eye, so that's going to be really raw.
Oh my gosh, you're human. Can you believe it?
I know, right? Boy, how often do we talk about that? Reality, real life. Yeah, I do raw and real on a regular basis with my ladies and my men. The main reason why is because they're like, so if you just go carnivore, do you really just be perfect? And it's like, oh no, behind the screens is never perfect. Trust me. So yeah, I do a lot of raw and reels. You know, I get up at 3 a.m. I start classes at 4:30. And I go to bed right about 8. So am I getting proper sleep? Am I getting proper water and hydration and all this stuff? You really never truly understand what it takes to put together, you know, a program, something for people to see. And a lot of these really big influencers, they go to a studio. They don't have, like right now, I've got 9 dogs around me, right? They don't have barking in the background. They don't have, my Wi-Fi is horrible. You know, they don't have that. So yeah, it is what it is. I like raw and real.
Well, I've got 3 dogs in the house, and they do like to cause commotion, so I understand that. But 9 dogs, my goodness, I'd be afraid they'd be tripping on my wires
bark,
under
they're
here.
They're going to make yours bark. For sure. Well, anyways, this is a first for us.
Yes, and I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to talk to you. You know, you're a beautiful sister in Christ and a sister in being able to help people get healthy in this way of living that we found through carnivore and taking control of your life through better discipline. And it's just exciting to be able to work with you. And I'm honored to have you to come and talk about these blood work results with me because, you know, I don't consider myself an expert on it. And I've talked about them on my own before, but I saw you talk to Carrie about his, and I thought, hey, that would be great to have Coach Lisa come and talk about mine too.
And I really appreciate that, Dante. And I do want to like back up just for one thing that you said, which is, you know, being a brother and sister in Christ is ultimately our goal, right? Like we
Yes.
want to get through everything that we do with being healthy. But like David laid on the couch and he said, how long, Lord? How long will I lay here and suffer? Right. So suffering does come in many forms. And unfortunately, when we have done what we've done to our body, whether it was innocently or on purpose, there's no judgment there. What there is discernment to do better. And I find that extremely important in the carnivore world because there seems to be somewhat of a false illusion that if you do all of this, you're going to be the chosen child and you're going to be healed of everything. But it's not always that way. And I think it's really good for people to understand that. And I have a carnivore doctor that not only is my doctor, but I work very close with him. And I love what he said to me one day. I told him, I said, can we just talk about hair falling out? Like, can we talk about that? Like, I really want a talk. And he goes, okay, what do you want to talk about? And I said, why? Why is it that you're doing all of this healthy, right? Like you would think people's hair would just be growing like crazy and they would have this really, really amazing head of hair. And he goes, some people, depending on their age and depending on the damage that they did, that's irreversible. And I said, so as a carnivore doctor, do you believe that some things are irreversible? And he said, you're aging, you're 65. He goes, most women lose their hair right about 50, 55, menopause, it starts falling out. So right away, they want to blame the meat. Oh, I went carnivore, my hair fell out. No, any type of diet, change of life that you do ultimately is going to lead to hair loss. That's one of the side effects of changing what you're doing. But if you stay with it long enough, eventually it will start to grow back. And I'm like, so what about mine? And he goes, you're doing good. You got a lot of hair. Don't worry about it. But it does, it's one of those things that women suffer with through carnivore is when is my hair going to return? And it was interesting to me biblically, God talks about a woman's hair and how we're not to cut it and be long and all this other stuff. And then I said, I wonder if he knew when we were going to go back to carnivore that we'd really realize that we did not take good care of our hair. But it's one of those superficial things. It does not make or break a woman. But a lot of women are very, I think we use our hair to hide. It's like a way of kind of being more secure when we're insecure. And it's a way of fitting in if you have a good hairstyle or a good hairstylist or a good color, good lighting, no wrinkles, all that kind of stuff is who we think we are. But really, it's who we are on the deep inside. And your blood work, dude, you're a beast. You're literally a beast. What is your age, Dante?
I'm 52. And on the hair subject, I always get it because people say, why'd your hair fall out? I said, it didn't fall out. I shaved it off because I wasn't ashamed to hide anymore. Men hide too. I was hiding behind a beard. I thought it would hide that double chin that I was dealing with and that fat face. And I let my hair grow long during COVID. So that was another unusual thing. But I'd been going bald for 10 years in that area back here, and I had been receding for probably 20 years. So, I mean, I'm sure my diet and my ancestry had a lot to do with both of those things. So, I understand the whole hair situation.
Well.
Huh?
You're wearing Mr. Clean quite well.
I appreciate it. I never thought it would be the look I would go for, but I like it now.
I was so shocked one day. I don't even remember when this was because, everybody goes, how did you get here? And I really don't have, I have divine moments that says you had to heal. My entire drive was to get Kenneth's liver healed, right? Like that's where it all started from. But what was killing it was the bigger picture. And then from there, we moved over to, how do you heal this now? And of course, that led me to the liver blood work where I am today. And of course, I went back to school for 2 years on top of it to get a lot of functional instruction versus being standard American diet, which still isn't carnivore, but that's a whole nother subject. But Kenneth and I, somehow or another, after, I think it was through Carrie or, we met at one of the meetups or something. And I think it was maybe even in Florida. And I was like, wait, this is him. And Kenneth goes, okay, no. And, he's a profiler, he's an officer and he's SWAT, LAPD, 45 years and all this information. And he goes, that is a rare person that literally, if you were to go through an airport based off of your other photo, they would not pick you up on the screening on the new guy.
I've had a hard enough time with my phone recognizing me with the Face ID thing over the past 4 years. It changes like
That's
every couple of
crazy.
years. It says, that's not you. That's not you.
That's funny. You should bring that up too, because I have 9 daughters and I have 3 daughters that all can open each other's phones. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah. It just
That's
goes to
how much
show
they
this
look alike.
technology we rely on is a little nuts sometimes.
Well, and you would think like it's your identity, but all 3 of them can open each other's phones, which is kind of scary.
Yeah.
Well, it's good, but it's bad because like they're not going to go against each other, but it is kind of crazy. I mean, I know I don't have a twin out there, so I don't worry about mine being opened by somebody else. Not that it would matter anyways. I'm kind of that open book person. It's like, there's no
Me
lock
too.
on my phone. You want to look on it? Go look at it. I don't care. I don't have anything to hide.
My wife,
Yeah.
she's like, she doesn't turn on the Face ID. She doesn't turn on Siri. And
Oh, Kenneth
I
doesn't
don't,
either.
I'm totally with her on that, except that I live in this social media world now. So it's kind of like just grin and bear it, and I'll trust the Lord with the rest.
Yeah, I'm the same. And Kenneth always has like the tape over the little camera on the computer, and who's not on upstairs. And I talk to her all day long. We're very good friends.
Yep.
She even says,
I gotta put tape on cameras that might be visible or at any time, because Katie just like, nope, the camera's watching. I guarantee you. So I said, I don't know why they'd be watching me. I can understand not why they'd be watching you though.
so let me guess. Katie goes into hotels and double checks the. You know how you can check to see if a mirror is double sided or single. Have you ever seen that done?
I have not. She hasn't gone that far. And once she watches
Oh
this,
yeah,
I'm sure
because
she'll start doing
hotels
it.
video you, right? Like who would ever think you're in a Hilton or a Marriott or whatever, and they've got double-sided mirrors where they can see everything or whatever. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's not just the scumbag ones, it's like all of it. And so Kenneth checks all of our mirrors too. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Well, we got a mixed bag with this technology. It can be a blessing or it can be a curse, especially with the
Yeah.
new AI abilities to be able to generate this fake news stuff where it's like not even a newscaster and people can create a story out of whole cloth and get a whole bunch of people riled up over something that doesn't even exist. So we definitely live in interesting times.
For sure. And I remember, I think it was about 98, maybe 99. And my children, who are a little bit younger than you, not much. I remember when we first got a computer and I said, I want you guys to know this could be the highway to heaven or the highway to hell, but you have to make that choice. Each and
Yeah.
every one of them needed to understand how to handle social media. With that time, it wasn't even social media. It was literally just getting on the internet and potentially having pop-ups that you don't need to see. You shouldn't be engaging in. They're not going to be a Christ-like, and basically blow that off and keep going. And yeah, life is crazy. That's for
It's
sure.
like it reminds me of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And isn't it ironic that all of our phones have this little apple with a bite out
Apple,
of it, you know?
I know. And of course, my husband won't own anything by Apple. And I'm like, oh, but they're the best. He goes, no, that's the curse of the apple right there.
They're all cursed. It's like, Lord have mercy, just let me get through it with what I got.
Yeah, exactly. And we've talked, well, we haven't talked about it, but one of the things with social media that is very heart-wrenching to me is that people become a really bodacious person behind a screen. And especially if they're not willing to show their face, right?
Yep.
So now they can make really rude comments. They can be very abusive verbally. And I think they're just negative. Like, I feel bad for them because I feel like their inner pain is shooting back out through social media. And some of the greatest people I know that are YouTubers or TikTokers. I mean, I have one girlfriend who's really big in the social media world, and she's constantly just heartbroken over what these people say. And I remind her that what my father told me in 5th grade, he said, look at the source.
Yep.
Look at the source and do not give it validity unless it's a source that you respect. You've just got to, and he's Capitol Records. He comes right out of the music industry. And he's like, if I let everybody who hated me affect my life, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Yeah.
And
Well,
those are words of encouragement. But I just find it so sad that these bullies sit behind a screen and want to shred people, but they don't even show their face.
yeah. Yeah, they
So
affect
it
me,
does
but
hurt my heart.
I'm developing a little thick skin from it, so I'm thankful for it. It's been tough, but you know what? It's tough to get tough, isn't it?
It is, but then again, like the flip side of that is I don't want to be tough. I want to have a soft heart. I want to be able to be loving and kind to everyone.
Yeah, well, you can be
And
both.
scary.
You can be tough like you talk about when it comes to your exercise regimen and making sure that you're strong and you're
Yeah.
able to face these difficulties, but still have a tender heart and care about people. And, I come from a background of being very self-centered, and this is kind of new for me. And I've been so thankful for the opportunity to be able to share a story that has helped people. So that's why I wanted to come and talk to you about blood work. And I know we've talked about everything under the sun, but I'm still going to leave it all in there because I think it's important that we're as real as possible when we share these things. And I'll probably put something at the beginning of the video letting them know, all right, we jump into the blood work at this point. So if you want
At
to
some
skip all
point.
of our discussion, this
So
way you
Dante,
can
I
get
do
right
have
to the
another
nuts and
question for
bolts.
you though. Speaking of talking off the record here, how many children do you have, but how many do you come from?
I have 4 brothers, 2 on my father's side, 2 on my mother's side. So they're all half brothers. The older 2 were 22 and 23 years older than me, so I barely knew them. And I had no idea how strained our relationship was when I was growing up as a result of circumstances around my father's decision to leave their mother and so on. And that caused a lot of strife. And then my 2 younger brothers are both 11 and 12 years older than me. The oldest of those has passed on in the past couple of years. But it's been an interesting relationship with them. I was a bit closer with them. My youngest brother to me has been more like a father to me than my own father. But I was essentially raised as an only child.
Yeah. So that's why you feel self-centered.
It definitely has a lot to do with it.
It
Trying to
does.
fit in, all the stuff you go through in childhood and growing up in the 70s and 80s when kids could be so awful to each other, and especially somebody that's tenderhearted and hyperactive. I was on Ritalin when I was a kid. They were trying to get me to calm down, and it was tough. But
But you were
it's
probably a really good handful, which is why you're a great person today.
everything in my life I know is meant for my good as long as I'm on the right path with the Lord.
Yes.
Even those difficulties.
Yeah. Are both your parents still alive?
My father passed away when I was 19, and my mother, thankfully, is still alive, but she's knocking on death's door. She's very comfortable with that ability to go and be with the Lord. She's not afraid of it, but I just like that the Lord would keep her safe between now and that moment. No more of these falls and things that she's had to deal with as she's been struggling with doctors and medicine, even though she's taken on a bit more of a carnivore diet that helped her lose a lot of weight, helped her feel a lot better for quite a few years. She is 85 years old, and she struggles. So I just ask for prayers for my mother, for anybody watching this, because she's a very sweet woman, and she's the reason that I'm worth anything today, because she kept praying for me and putting me on the right track and telling me that the Lord is the focus and to trust and obey, and the things that I never did when I was younger. So hopefully I've been able to show her the prodigal son does return.
Yes. And has she ever had any medical conditions, or is it just aging out?
Aging is a big part of it. She also made the mistake of getting the first of the 2 Moderna shots before she decided that this wasn't a good idea. And unfortunately, she lost her husband after he followed up on several of them. And his family was known for longevity, and he died at 83, but he was extremely healthy, the kind of guy that would work from dusk till dawn, really from sun up to beyond sundown. And he worked hard, like working on houses and cutting trees and doing all kind of stuff. And then he just randomly had this brain aneurysm. So it's been upsetting to see how that worked out, because I was closer to my stepfather than I was to my own father. And it's been hard to watch my mother go through losing him after having watched her lose my husband, my father, who was a very good husband to her. Not the best father, but a great husband. So I was thankful for that.
Right. Well, yeah, like you said, as long as it works to the glory of God, we're good. The road to Walmart, there's many there, but it's like the road to Carnivore. Here we are, right? Like all these people meeting each other. We've got all these testimonies and stories and healing. And then some people who aren't quite healing as fast, but anybody watching this today, I just hope that Dante continues to inspire you, because Dante, you have been a huge movement in this field or this area of life, this way of life. I know for a fact there's been several people that I have now worked with and am working with. They're like, yeah, I was inspired by this and now I want to do this. And you were that foundation, which has been like a huge thing. And not to mention even your touch with Carrie. I can hardly watch him talk about you because he makes me cry every single time. The man loves you, brother. He really does. He's a great guy. And Jen also, and then of course now the girls, and you've really helped him in so many ways, and of course he pays it forward and helps many other people as well. And it's kind of a beautiful thing. The way I found Carrie was that he had this thing that looked like an outhouse, and he was burning wood through it and filtering it back to his house for heat. And I was living off the grid at the time and had no heat, and I was like, oh, that looks pretty inspirational. Yeah. And I think that's one of his first videos that had like over 1 million views on top of it.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched it?
I haven't seen that one. I've noticed, I'm glad to see how well he's doing, because he's getting the word out to a lot of people, and he's doing a great thing with the making of this documentary and the people that he's been able to touch as a result of, like he calls the ripple effect. I can't take any glory for it, though. It's all God's glory, because God led me to it. And if it wasn't for the Lord leading me in this direction, I would have never had the opportunity to help anybody. So I'm just thankful that I'm being able to be used in such a way that it's easing human suffering and hopefully bringing more people to a healthy place in their life, to where they can focus on the things that they have to be thankful for, and maybe even bring them to the Lord as a result of it.
I think we both have that same heart, and I know Carrie has that heart. And on that note, remember, anybody who watches this today or in the future or whenever, remember to always like and subscribe and follow to these people that you love, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss the greatest things out there. This revolution of moving, this movement of, following Christ, knowing the Lord, having a revelation through that. And then on top of it, getting your body healthy. It is mind, body, and spirit. Like all three things have to go together. And then this is when we really start to see and be able to glorify. So yeah, what is it? Like, follow, subscribe, whatever. Make sure you guys do that. Yeah, exactly.
I always forget to bring those up. So I'm so thankful you do it.
I don't usually do it either, but I just started thinking about that, because like, how would I have found Carrie? And I can't even say it, let alone understand it. What's it called? Algorithms or algorithms. Yeah, that's it. It's the same thing, right? Like the more that people like it and the more they share it. So you guys share, help each other out. There's a lot of people on YouTube that if we can continue to spread, we help it grow. And then of course we're helping those that we love, or those that we don't even know that we love yet. Because I can tell you, in this very short period of time, when you look at 4 years, 5 years of your life versus 60 years, it's a tiny little window, right? It's a small chapter. But I have learned and met so many amazing people like yourself, that how would I have met you any other way? There's no other way if it had not been for this type of environment.
All of the best friends in my life are in this community right now.
Yeah, me too. And my worst enemies are ones I thought were my friends.
Yeah,
they don't agree with the crazy carnivore thing. But let's look at why we agree with it. Let's just take a quick look here. I think it's incredible. I'm when I tell you you're a beast, you really are. Like, thank the Lord for your health, because no matter where you were, where you are today is stellar. So I was going through your paperwork, and one of the things that I think we should bring up, like straight up off the board here, is I don't want to tell the story. I want you to tell the story of your TRT before, and then what the doctor said, and then I'll pick up at the blood work part, because it is amazing.
Okay. Well, 4 years before I even started any type of carnivore diet, I had gone to see my doctor about erectile dysfunction and my testosterone was in the mid, I forget what number it was, but it was in the 300s. And he said it wasn't technically low, but it's low enough to be causing a possible problem. And I've learned since then that, our standards for testosterone have been lowered because the average American has, their testosterone's going down. So what they consider normal now is abnormal, in my opinion. So I was low, and I was taking it for 4 years beforehand. And when I started Lion Diet, one of the first things I was able to do was get off almost all my medicines within 30 days because I just didn't need them anymore. I didn't need allergy medicine anymore. I didn't need anything for GERD anymore. I didn't need my blood pressure medicine. As a matter of fact, it was causing me to lose, to get woozy because it was taking my blood pressure too low. So I stopped, and then eventually spoke to my doctor about a month or so after that and told him what my experiences were. And he's like, yes, absolutely. You don't need it. You don't need it. You don't need it. He took me off, which was great. He didn't really want to know what I was doing to do this, but he said, whatever you're doing, keep on doing it. But when I asked him about getting off of testosterone, he said, well, I wouldn't recommend that because you're most likely not only going to go back to the numbers you were at, but because you've been on it for so long, your body's not used to making testosterone. Your numbers will probably go down even lower, which could cause you some real difficulty with your hormonal imbalance and the problem that you were facing before. So he kind of scared me into staying on it. And I said, okay, well, I don't want to go through all that. So I stuck with it. And then I went on for about a year after I had started Carnivore. For about a year, I was still doing that. And then when we moved to Florida and doctor situations changed and I didn't have any insurance and I'm trying to figure out what to do, I didn't get to see a doctor about it, so I wasn't able to get refills, so I was forced to go cold turkey. And about 6 months after that, I got my blood work checked, and my testosterone levels were actually slightly higher than they were when I very first began. Not much higher. They were still in the 300 range, but I want to say it was like 390 something. So just the fact that it wasn't lower was a miracle to me based on what the doctor had said. And even my new doctor at the time had said, yes, I'm surprised. I thought they would be much lower than what they were. Then I went back to her 6 months later and had them checked again, and my testosterone levels were 590 range. So 50% higher than when I had started TRT and 50% higher than when I had been off of it for 6 months, which was very encouraging. And at the time, I wasn't paying attention to free testosterone. And since then, I've been making sure to get that checked as well. I still don't understand it all that well. But on my most recent test here, I was really excited because, well, we can talk about that when you're ready. I can bring that up on the screen when you're comfortable.
So I want to tie a couple things in here. Just briefly. So when you were like, we don't know each other's past super deep. Prior to going carnivore, and you obviously had some weight that you've lost. How much have you lost total?
Well, the highest weight I ever was 302 pounds. I'm currently 189 pounds. Huh?
What size frame body?
I'm 6'1", and I've got a good size frame. I mean, I'm broad shouldered. I've always been muscular underneath, even when I didn't work out, even when I don't work out. I tend to hold on to muscle pretty well. So I forget which is mesomorph or all those other morphs that they are, but I'm the one that tends to gain weight easily.
Right. So what's interesting to me, that's a lot of weight on a 6'1" frame. That no matter how you're built, that's a lot of weight. Anytime during that time frame, did anybody ever diagnose you with fatty liver disease?
No, nobody ever diagnosed me with fatty liver disease. However, about a year before I started the carnivore diet, I had gone to see my gastroenterologist, and my doctor had suggested I go because he was concerned he just wanted me to get a colonoscopy. And then the gastro doctor, took a look at that, but then also was looking at my bilirubin numbers, and they were a little concerned about whatever was causing them to be slightly elevated. I think it was like 1.7 for bilirubin. My primary care doctor wasn't concerned about it at all, but they were at the gastro doctor, and they mentioned that it might be the signs of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or possibly even alcoholic fatty liver disease, because I did drink alcohol fairly regularly before that. I was a bourbon drinker and a beer drinker. So,
So it's interesting to me. I deal with men as young as, 26, 25 years old. And I even have a 19-year-old right now that has ED issues. And this was something that just wasn't very prevalent back, in the 70s or the 60s or even the 50s. Testosterone was raging. It was big. We ate a lot better, less ultra processed foods. But one of the things that fatty liver disease gives you is ED. And so there is a possibility that during that time frame, this was also rolling over and affecting you into an area that your body was trying to wake you up. Like, this isn't working. And that's a big issue. So now you're like, oh, I got to get that fixed, right? Like, what am I going to do? What hormone am I going to go on? What medication or whatever? But literally, like, the root cause of ED is the blood flow, and the blood flow goes right back to the liver. So I find it really interesting because now I have probably close to 100 guy clients that suffer with ED, and it's something nobody wants to talk about. It's like the embarrassment in the bedroom. And, gosh, I used to be, the soldier had no problem, mornings were good mornings. And now here I am, what's going on? And it's interesting to me how this is affecting not only obesity, like guys that are just like a little bit overweight, but it's a testosterone issue, right? So this goes back to the ultra processed foods, drinking, whatever that we're putting in there. So I wanted to touch on that because I think it would be really interesting if we were to go back and look at your blood work. Like, now Carrie's really dug in to a lot of his blood work, and he's like, oh my gosh, it was there. I didn't know that. But these symptoms that men go through and nobody wants to really talk about is the same for every single guy, right? Like, we're just human. As my daughter says, it's not something that should be shameful. It's just like another leg, another arm, another whatever, right? We have to deal with the circumstances of it. So with your testosterone being where it is now, oh my word, it is like amazing to see how your body, not only has it healed itself, are you going to pull it up? Good.
Yeah, you can see it right down here on the bottom of the screen. Highest numbers I've seen.
Can we enlarge that or no?
How's that?
Oh yeah, there we go. The big 702. So the average or normal of people having, we'll just say a man having an erection, which obviously can lead to intercourse or intimacy 2 or 3 times every 2 weeks by your age, is totally different than having it, daily as a 19-year-old or whatever, right? Most of those guys are only between 350 and 400. And here you are sitting at 702. I started laughing when I was going over it. I was like, man, Dante, you're a beast. You really are. You're a warrior. You're there. It's happening. And the best part of all this, because I don't want it to sound weird, but everything else in your blood work is phenomenal as well, except for the 2 things which are not issues. Your chloride, it's showing a little low, but you were doing a fast, obviously, coming into this blood work. And we dug into that. So you are still within normal. But
and it was an extended fast. I didn't do the normal 8 hours. I did more like a 30-hour fast.
And that's going to affect that because it's technically can show dehydration. But what's amazing is the 97 is still in normal. It's just on the lower end, right? So it's not like you're in dire need of anything or whatever, which if anybody else watching this and you were in the same shoes and you had not fasted, my recommendation is that you would want to make sure you're not dehydrated and that you if you're not using Soleil water, you should learn about it because this is going to help bring that back up. But Dante, I'm pretty sure you were telling me, that you've got your Soleil water and then you are taking, I think, upwards.
Craving the perfect steak? With Schwank Grills, you get mouthwatering flavor in minutes. Schwank's infrared technology cooks fast, locks in juices, and delivers unbeatable taste. Proudly handcrafted in Augusta, Georgia, Schwank Grills are built to make every bite unforgettable. Schwank Grills, American made, steak perfected. Use my link in the description to order yours now, and you get a free grill cover to boot. Now, back to the video.
Probably we guessed around 10, 1,000 milligrams of sodium a day, which is so amazing. I mean, that's why you look good. That's why you feel good. And I'm not saying that this isn't, everything's hunky dory when we go carnivore, because you and I were talking about earlier in this being raw and real, we could look really good. Our bodies come together. We've lost our weight. We don't have skin. We're working out. We got muscle development, but we also have emotions. We also have stress of the world. So we just have to watch our blood work, obviously not become obsessed with it. But I was looking at this and I was like, wow, this is a real testimony of a person. I don't think, have you ever done treats or sweets, during your carnivore time? Have you ever stepped off?
Early on, I remember trying a Pop-Tart and I was so disgusted by it that I spit it out. There's been a couple of times during the holidays, like one Christmas, I think I had like 3 pieces of pie because I had to try everything, but it was because they made them and it was all this pressure and I just gave in to something I shouldn't have given into. And also when my stepfather died, I ate a whole bunch of ice cream. But in every case, I paid for it. I went back into keto flu and had diarrhea for days, and the ice cream made my kidneys feel like rocks, or it made that area in my back just feel so sore. So it's been easy to avoid for the most part. I really don't care for sweet things anymore, though, because I
So
prefer the
overall,
salty flavor.
how long do you think it's actually been that you have not had anything but carnivore? Are you like a full year, 9 months, 3 years? What does that look like for you?
Well, I would say at least a year, with the exception of the fact that sometimes my mother-in-law will come over, and when I'm cooking a roast in the slow cooker, she'll throw in potatoes and carrots, and then I would just eat around them. But even just eating the meat and even the juices being mixed in would affect me because of my leaky gut issue. So, I mean, it's
Yes.
like that to me, that was not being full carnivore. But for most people, I don't think that's a huge deal. It just really depends on your level of sensitivity.
Correct. I agree with that 100%. As a matter of fact, I know carnivores that will have I actually, as a carnivore, approve avocado. And obviously, I'm 100% behind the lemon and detoxing the liver. But I'm talking like purposefully stepping off and going out and just partying, or, having a full blown holiday or weekend or whatever. For
Yeah, I don't
myself,
have those.
yeah, me either. That has never happened. I have zero cravings, zero carb issues. And I was a carb addict, 100% a carbaholic and sugaraholic. I didn't even know I was one until I had to give it up. Right. And then it took me a little bit of time, not long, like maybe 21 days, a month, 30 days. And then it was just like, I did the same thing. I went to eat a chocolate covered gummy bear and I was like, I don't want this. And my kids were like, oh, you need to eat it. We got that for you. It's a gift and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't want it in my system. Like
Right.
my body knew, even though my brain and my taste buds may have been saying, oh yeah, that would be really good, it was not going to happen. And I think that's really important when we start to acknowledge the change inside of our body, how if we listen and we pay attention, it really does talk to us. I mean, I don't think it's any different than if we were in the wilderness and we were out hunting. Your body would say, hey, are you going to go find something and kill it? Like, we really
Yeah.
need to eat soon, go fish, go hunt, go do whatever you're going to do. But we get so inundated with the foods in the store and I call it the reward button, the dopamine hit of like, oh, look at the new cereal, look at the
Yeah.
new pop, look at the new whatever. And oh, I want to try that candy or whatever. It's like, it's shopping and it's a shopaholic addiction. But on the flip side of that, it's a dopamine reward.
Hmm.
And it's crazy to me how depression, anxiety, um, intrusive thoughts, maybe even suicidal thoughts, which, by the way, anybody listening to this, if you're ever feeling suicidal, please call 911 immediately. But your detoxification of your body leads you clear and free of those thoughts, those intrusive thoughts just disappear. It's pretty amazing.
It
So
is.
the other one we were looking at was your glucose, and it is also within range, but it's on the low side. And I think it's really important that if anybody else, we'll deal with Dante sideways, but for anybody else watching this, if you were to have the same number and everything else kind of looked the same, remember that you can, glucose can fall into a hypoglycemic. And from there, you just would want to make sure that you slow your protein down. And you and I will talk about this as well, how it doesn't affect you, but somebody else watching might think that they, might have an issue or whatever. So if you were to eat eggs and butter, the butter will slow down that protein. If you were to eat fat, meat and then butter on it, it's going to do the same thing. And it just kind of helps you process the digestion between the protein and the fat as it goes into your tract and through the liver, so that you don't fall into being hypoglycemic, because that's really not a fun place to be. I was one of those gals that lived in that world. And when you feel like you're going down into the dark hole, you get shaky. It's not a lot of fun. And unfortunately, the Diabetes Society says, grab the orange juice, grab the apple, get the food in, grab a Snickers bar. It is so much better to grab a piece of protein, an egg, boiled egg, and maybe a couple bites of butter to go with that, and really be able to pull yourself back up out of that. Ongoing, if this was a problem that you had, which falls into an insulin issue, then a person would definitely want to make sure that all of their meals, whether you're OMAD, 2MAD, or 3MAD, you would want to make sure your protein and your fat is on a 30% protein and a 70% fat. That's what's going to slow that protein down so it doesn't spill over and cause this problem. However, since yours is low, we know that it's because you did that amazing fast going into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So any other time, and we, we could talk extensively over that, because you and I, I've already asked you, did you get shaky? Do you get shaky? Do you have a history of that? And of course, alcohol does contribute to this as well. There are people who are alcoholics. They come off it, they go to carnivore, and they rob their body of a fuel source, which was the sugars. And now they're eating the protein and not enough fat. So just keep that fat up there, you guys. It's really going to help stabilize your blood, and then ultimately how your body reacts to that. So, but overall, Dante, you're a beast. You're like spot on. I mean, not only should your wife be proud of you, your kids should be proud of you, but you should be proud of you. You have done absolutely fantastic here.
I'm just thankful. That's all I am. And I'm always surprised at my cholesterol numbers, that I don't have those unusually high LDL numbers that so many people have. And I kind of feel like I want them to be higher, because
so what's
I know.
Interesting is I don't have them either, Dante. I don't have them either. And I think and I could be wrong. Like I said, a lot of this is coming out right now live. It's all about keeping your body in motion. I think the higher cholesterol is definitely correlated to lack of exercise and not a proper macro management, which I don't want to get anybody off on a tangent here thinking, I got to count calories, I have to do this, I have to do that. But when you first come in and if your blood work is sideways and you have really high, you should do your best to make sure that you're managing what is going in your mouth. And obviously, you're a little further down the road. How many years are you actually carnivore now?
4 years and coming up on 5 months.
Okay, so you and I are about the same, and it's the same thing. It's like I tell my clients all the time, your cholesterol will balance if you properly balance your body. And I think it's also like what's going on inside the body. Is it healing? Is it okay? And Ken balance too. His triglycerides were pretty high up there, especially with having liver cirrhosis. He was well over 300. He came down to the 200s, and then he went down into the low 100s, like 114. I have a new client. His triglycerides, Dante, we have to pray over this man, 1,573.
Wow. I was a little bit even distressed that mine were 79, because mine were as low as 35 at one point.
Yeah, I'm with you. I watched that like a hawk, and mine are like 43 right now. And my A1C is 4.3. Your A1C is 5.1, which is fantabulous. Like literally, you're stellar. God has blessed you with a healthy body and a healthy mind and a healthy spirit. And now you get to talk about it and share it to all these other people. And, it's amazing. Really is.
And it stayed in that range, as you can see there in the overtime.
How far back do you have blood work and trends for?
In this particular app, only a couple of years. I do have other records, but I just don't have them available to bring up now. But I've got older videos that people could go back and watch where I talked about blood work in my very first video, 125 days on Lion Diet. I did a 6-month video where I talked about my blood work. Now I was still on TRT then, and I didn't even know it was an issue to something I should be talking about. I thought this is just keeping me normal, so I didn't even think about it. But I've learned so much since then that I'm not afraid to talk about it and share that information and be able to comment on it so that people can understand. But a lot of these things, I look at them, and even though I've got Dr. Berry's book about the blood work or common sense blood work, I look at it and I think, well, everything's green, so I'm happy. But I know that doesn't necessarily. Go ahead.
It would be really interesting to see a follow-up between what was going on then and actually look at the trends of your blood work and then where you're at today. I mean, this is a testimony. This is a testimony of dedication, being driven. I call them non-negotiables. You obviously have non-negotiables, right? Like, you're not going to cheat. You're not going to treat. I know there's still people out there, other doctors as well, that are saying, occasional bourbon's okay. Occasional whatever's okay. Occasional this. Some people call it cheating. Some people call it treating. For me, I don't cheat or treat on any situation in any other area of my life. So I kind of take that pretty, I don't know what the right word is, integrity wise to myself. Like, why would I want to cheat myself? That would be the last thing I'd want to do, right? You don't cheat on your spouse, don't cheat on yourself either. And people are like, oh, but couldn't we just do this? It's like, you can, and you even said it yourself. You suffered, a couple days after, if you did choose to do it. I have not chosen to do that at all. Not braggadocious. It's just that I'm very grateful that my body is healthy. And anybody listening to this that has walked in pain, suffered in pain, stuck in a wheelchair, a bed, massive obesity, I'm talking massive obesity, 300, 400, 500 pounds, love yourself through it all. Love yourself on the other side. And literally, like you say, be grateful, right? Like, we're just so
Amen.
grateful that we have. Yeah. I mean, just think what a better father you are.
Trying to be the best father I can be, and raising children these days is definitely a challenge, but I try to lead by example and guide them the best I can.
So are your children carnivore or no?
Not carnivore, but they have cut out a lot of the processed food. They've been trying to make better choices, even though their better choices are often just a substitute for the same thing they had before. But I'm working on them. It's one of those things where when you try to force somebody into it, they're just going to rebel even more. So I just try to continue to lead by example. My oldest son, he struggles with his weight. So, I mean, he's a little bit more open to it now lately. And I'm hoping that I can keep encouraging him in the right direction. One of the things I do is I make their breakfast for them. So they're not getting cereal and they're not getting waffles and stuff like that starting their day off. I get them eggs and bacon, start them every day that way so that they're getting a good start. Unfortunately, we don't homeschool anymore because they kind of outgrew our ability to homeschool them, and they're both in school and they're kind of stuck in the system that the school has. We're hoping RFK Jr. can help, bring back some of that so that there's a little more sanity in our system. I just as soon do away with the FDA and all this nanny state nonsense. But if we're going to be stuck with it, at least we're moving in a better direction. So that's what I'm happier with there. But it's so hard for us to be able to get them to have the things that they need on a regular basis when they're out and about. I try to do the best I can with them here. And again, leading by example is really, I think, the best way you can do anything when it comes to trying to teach somebody in a way that is going against the grain of society. And our society is built around food and fellowship being the focus is food.
I have said for years and years and years, the best sermons are walked, not talked.
Absolutely.
And how do they feel about your success?
My youngest stepson, he was very impressed with it, and he made it a bit more of a focus to avoid things like bread, and he chose not to have mayonnaise anymore, and he would eat more meat, and he was comfortable with it. He has a hard time getting away from the addiction to Coca-Cola, but we don't buy it for him. Sometimes he'll get it himself because I trained him on how to manage his own finances, which comes with the pitfalls of buying things that you shouldn't occasionally. But overall, I mean, he's got some genes that are giving him some. I mean, he looks like a little Bruce Lee, but
Oh, really?
you know, he could ruin that. I try to remind him, you've got great genes right now, but you can destroy those. If you keep putting this liquid sugar in your body, because it's like even worse than the edible sugar because of the way it addicts
Yeah.
us to it, and it makes us very difficult to resist. But he's open. He's open to learn more, and he's open to be a part of it. But he's also trying to find his way in the world. He's 14 and going through puberty, and that's all difficult. So I mean, it's a
So while
battle.
we're talking about sugar, what's your take on the sugar fad?
Personally, I think it's a psyop. I saw that Dr. Barry talked about it, and I'm interested to watch that video. As you mentioned before, when we were talking beforehand, I don't get to watch a whole lot of YouTube unless I'm watching it to share with the other people here. I'll do reaction videos just because I know there's a lot of people out there alone that would like to watch these things and share thoughts. So I do that, and that's the most of the time that I get to watch those things. But my personal opinion, it's like a lot of things that we find. For everything out there, somebody says this is the truth, there is somebody else out there saying the exact opposite. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
that is done by clandestine parts of our government and other governments that want to fight this type of thing. They don't, and also not only governments but medical groups and food companies. They want to fight this. They don't want to hear people wanting to become carnivore. They don't want to hear people are going to get off of all their addictive products and things like that. So in some way or another, it's a psyop. It's a way of trying to convince us that it's so crazy to do carnivore that even this crazy thing is something you can try. And I don't believe any of it. I think it's going to be causing people to have severe problems with insulin resistance and pancreas problems and liver problems and fatty liver disease. And yeah, whatever it is, if it makes them feel good for a while, it's because they're getting dopamine like crazy from that sugar. It's like any other drug. Oh yeah, I'm just going to keep doing that drug because it makes me feel so good, but
So I've seen a few carnivore influencers that are like, I'm going to do this and, see if I can get past my stall. And, for me, it's a logical thing. It's a mental thing. Cause for me, I think, okay, sugar is the worst thing on the planet. It's a legalized drug, right? And it's killing us. And it creates all this pain inside of our body. And we're talking about insulin, right? So what creates that problem? It's the sugar. We've got this huge sugar conversion issue. So I look at that and I'm like, who in their right mind would even think that it's okay for 3 days to go and eat sugar all day long and then eat your steak with some butter and go to bed? I like, my body just wants to be sick thinking about it, let alone actually doing it.
yeah,
There's no way.
I wouldn't want to do that. This doesn't make any sense to me. It's just like I say, I feel like it's a psyop. It's designed to fight what we've been accomplishing spreading news about carnivore. And I try not to get in the arguments with the whole vegans versus carnivore, although it is fun to play with them sometimes. I still love all people, and I hope and that's why I love when I find vegans that go carnivore and how they find out how it just changes things for them too. But I also encourage people, do what works for you. Maybe you don't need carnivore. Maybe you don't need lion diet. Maybe keto is the way for you to get going. Whatever it is, stick with what works for you and look for the signs if it's not working. Like if you're going vegan and you're feeling great because you got all the ultra processed foods, if you're strictly doing this for reasons that are health wise, and you're feeling great for a while, it probably has a lot to do with getting all that ultra processed food out of your life. Now, some vegans still consume that stuff, and it causes more problems down the road. But eventually, you're going to be missing certain things like choline and B12 and other things that are in meat that are not in vegetables. And you're dealing with plant toxins that you have no idea what you're doing to your body when it comes to oxalates and things like that. So, again, I try to be inclusive to be able to let everybody know that the reason I talk about carnivore diet is I know it sounds crazy to a lot of people, but it has been the craziest blessing in my life for the past nearly 4.5 years. And it has changed everything. And if I don't tell people about it, then I feel like I'm remiss in not letting them know, because I constantly walk around and see people who are suffering with the same body dysmorphia or body problems that I have. I still have sometimes dysmorphia where I think I'm that person, and I look in the mirror and go, who is that guy? And
Yeah.
I know that they can unzip that fat suit and take off all that health challenge that they're getting from all that extra fat on their body and around their organs and the way it's affecting their organs. And I just love talking about carnivore because of that.
So do you have an in-scale body as well, scale, or do you not do you weigh? Do you do any of that or no?
I do weights only. The only reason I've been checking my weight consistently for probably 7 or 8 months now, almost regularly, is just because I wanted to show people how much it can fluctuate in short periods of time, and not to focus on those numbers, because those numbers can lie to you. You can have so many things that vary that cause you to be 5 pounds heavier one day than you were the day before or something like that. And if you look at that and you're trying to stay focused on what you're doing, it's going to emotionally derail you, and you shouldn't check yourself that often. I've been able to do it only because I already know, I've got it as solidly in my head that just because the number's going up doesn't mean that I'm doing something wrong. But if it stays up for a while, it might mean I'm doing something wrong. But for the
So
most
are
part,
you full lion now?
I would say I am what some people call dirty lion, because I brought eggs back in. I eat pasture raised eggs,
Okay.
but not terribly often. I do have them occasionally. And because of bringing my wife into carnivore, and she's a coffeeaholic, I stopped making my water with, I would do what was like bulletproof coffee, but without the coffee, and also without the MCT oil. I know you like MCT oil. I use Relight because I want to add a little bit of magnesium and potassium, and I love the way it tastes together. That hot water feeling in the morning, especially in the cold months, it's just so comforting. But when my wife started doing carnivore, I was making her coffee, and it was easier just to make it all at once, because you got to use a blender and then you'd have to do it twice. And so I've made the excuse of allowing that to bring coffee back in. But unfortunately, I've noticed a couple of things. One is it tends to upset my gut. I can feel it and hear it and all of those things, especially depending on which coffee it is. When I use Pete's, it's not so bad, but this recent one that I got from Sam's Club has been causing me trouble. And I noticed that I have a harder time going to sleep at night. I have a harder time waking up in the morning. Whereas when I was zero coffee, I would, my head hit the pillow, I'm out. When it's time to wake up, I'm up. And ever since I got back into coffee, that's been a distraction. And it's a hard habit to break. And it's something that, see, I'm working with her, and she's trying to break some bad habits too. And sometimes our habits that were the same bring us back and forth into each other when it comes to coffee and things like nicotine that I try to avoid as much as possible. She vapes, and it makes it easy for me to sometimes have something like that. So, but as far as eating goes, the only things that are outside of what would be considered pure lion diet is that I use grass-fed butter, and I do use a lot of tallow, though. I don't use purely butter all the time, and that I use pasture-raised eggs. And I've tasted an occasional piece of bacon, mostly for a video purpose or something like that, or just because I was hungry and had to get going in the morning. But bacon doesn't do me any good. I noticed that pork and I don't get along. I never eat
Same.
chicken with the exception of the eggs. And I will occasionally have shrimp if I can get it, but I've had an allergy to fish all my life, and a lot of times shrimp and fish are caught together. And if I
Same.
get any of that fish oil on the shrimp, it'll cause me to swell up and have some other
I'm
problems. So,
exactly the same way. Cannot have shrimp, can't have salmon. Anything that shrimp gets near or fish gets near or commingled, same exact reaction.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you talk about like being lion and bringing butter back in, or the bacon back in. My body does not tolerate pork at all. I eat zero chicken, and I never touch turkey. Like those are
Me
just
either.
some things that my body. It wasn't me. I didn't set out to get rid of it, but my body chose to get rid of it. With the pork, I just got sicker and sicker and sicker, literally sick every time I would have it. I'd be like down, and no matter where we were on the ground, literally not even able to stand back up. It would just make me like either vomiting, diarrhea, hot sweats, like it was bad. And it wasn't until later that I kind of realized this is a histamine reaction of what was going on. And my body doesn't like it. I like it. I love pulled pork. There's nothing better than that. But my body says no. So I'm the same. I'm pretty much just, I wrote a program. It's called the Lioness Program. And so I'm a lioness. I eat nothing but a lion's meal. And interestingly enough, I do add butter to my coffee as well, but actually not my coffee. That was a lie. I don't drink coffee. That's what I was going to say, is that after 34 years of drinking coffee, anywhere from 12 to 24 cups a day, I am coffee free. And my body did that. I just woke up one morning and my body said, no coffee today. And I was like, we sure we don't want coffee? He's like, nope, we're not having coffee. It's like, okay. So I've never gone back. It's been 6 months. Don't
That's
even
wonderful.
have a COVID. Yeah, it's shocking, like absolutely shocking. If I can break that addiction, y'all can break any addiction, because I was living on it, and I had the same problems. Couldn't get up in the morning, couldn't go to bed at night, all kinds of sleep issues. And now when my body said we're done, my head hits the pillow, I'm out, and I'm wide awake the next morning.
Yeah, I want to get back to that. And I'll also add that it took me a good 3 years to be able to tolerate eggs without any side effects that I noticed. And butter was the same. I tried bringing them in around a year and a half into my lion diet, and it was like, no, can't do it. It's not working. It's not working well with me at all. It would cause me intestinal discomfort. The eggs would even make me feel flushed, especially if they were store-bought eggs that were raised on vegetarian. Pasture-raised eggs worked really good as long as I was only doing the yolks for a while. But now I'm at the point where I can eat the whole thing and they don't cause any trouble. So, and I look at lion diet as it doesn't have to be ruminant meat, water, and salt forever. It's supposed to be you eliminate all that stuff to find out what your problems are, and then you can maybe try something, as long as it's a healthy something. I mean, you don't need to try sugar to find out if that's a problem. That's the problem. But you can try some things, like maybe try to bring a vegetable or two back and see if you could tolerate it. Never worked for me. I tried fruits. I could bring fruits back in and they didn't cause me trouble, but my addiction to sugar caused me trouble because I wanted too much of them. So I had to say, nope, I've got to abstain from that. But when it comes right down to it, you've eliminated the things that were causing you trouble. If you find that some of the healthy things like butter and eggs are not causing you trouble anymore, I still consider that being a lion diet. It's just a progression of the lion diet.
I agree with that. So speaking of things that you bring in and out, did you ever have you ever done just the yolk? And then, so you said that you did that in the white. Was it the white that caused the problems?
Yes.
Yeah. Same with me. And as a bodybuilder, which I did for 22 years, I lived on egg whites because yellows were taboo. You don't want the fat, you just want the protein. And sometimes I wonder if my intolerance came because we used to just throw them in a blender and drink them. We didn't even cook them.
Yeah.
That metabolic health just got so screwed up from that industry.
We've been told a lot of lies for a long time about nutrition, and some people they didn't know they were lying. I don't think some of the people who came up and talked, they really believed it, because I believed it. And if anybody would have asked me, I would have told them, yeah, you should be drinking your orange juice and drinking your milk and all these other things back when I was a teenager and I was interested in bodybuilding. But, life took over and I got married young and had kids young and became I was an inside worker at a desk a lot of times, or a sales, and weight started getting put on. So, that changed pretty quickly. But
where's your body today as far as dairy goes? Are you a cheese consumer or milk consumer or heavy whipping cream or anything?
I don't do cheese. I have occasionally had a nibble of cheese, as long as it's a good hard cheese, something that's been aged for a while, but most of the time I avoid it completely. And the only reason it's even in the house is because my wife's carnivore diet includes some cheese. When she makes burgers, she's got to have a little cheese with it. She just hasn't been able to let that go yet. But sometimes she likes them, because I've been making like the chuck burgers and I just load them up with tallow so they are so juicy. I made a video the other day and I was cooking them to 150 degrees so they would settle at 160. And then I kind of revisited that, and I was watching something Kerry was doing where he was cooking to 125. I did that this week, and I absolutely love it. So, I mean, I'm not worried about
Oh,
the
yeah.
problems that I was concerned before. 125, they were around 135 once they were done sitting, and delicious and totally cooked. Everything was fine. So, yeah,
And that's how Ken does our burgers too, the same as Carrie does,
yeah,
the same exact way. And I don't do any dairy. I haven't had dairy longer than being carnivore because I was a vegan, and so I just didn't consume any dairy or chicken or eggs or anything like that, just literally vegetables. And I got sicker and sicker on it, and eventually I started adding in a little bit of chicken, but chicken just has never sat with me right. Like I always thought the white breast meat was what I want, especially during bodybuilding, because that's the big thing is high carbs and high protein and low fat. And man, I'm lucky to be alive, to be honest with you. Well, we're
yeah.
not
And
lucky. If
chicken
luck comes
tastes.
from Lucifer, we're blessed.
When you do lion diet, chicken begins to taste awful. Eggs are a little bit different in how the chicken produces them. They're actually more like a ruminant production in the end.
Yes.
But the other thing you asked about was dairy. Back in the end of 2002, when I was working at UPS and I was just working my butt off and getting in the best shape of my life, I was down to 176. The last time I was 176, I was probably 12 years old. And I wasn't as svelte as I was at 176 at age 50. But I went through a little milk phase there while I was working at UPS, and I totally forgot. I was just like thinking animal product, it's okay. Just totally forgot lactose was sugar, and gained about 20 pounds in a couple of months, and then it was hard to get that back off. And so,
You're not
yeah,
even going to
dairy
believe
and I
this.
don't
I
get
had the
along.
exact same story, but not with UPS. But I added dairy in. I was just like, oh, it's animal. We'll see how it goes. Not cheese, literally heavy whipping cream. Gained 22 pounds in less than a month. And I was like, what is going on with my body? I was like ready to freak out because I'm carnivore. Why am I gaining weight? Blah, blah, blah. And it took me like 4 months to get that off, just to even get it moving. And
Yeah.
even now, I still feel like I'm about 4 pounds, 5 pounds off. I don't do the scale thing here, but the reason why I brought it up, because I was going to ask you, do you have an in-body scale that allows us to see your visceral fat or your body compositions or anything like that?
No, it's supposed to have like BMI and stuff like that on it, but I don't know. I don't trust it. It's not a very expensive scale, so I'm just glad it checks the numbers of the weight and try to keep track of that. So, but I mean,
Yeah.
this is the way it looks. It just
On that, on the price of the scale. So I started off with, I actually was at Ross and they had one for $15. And I was like, oh, look at, there's an in-body scale, blah, blah, blah. It just has an app. It's called SPRI. I don't even think they make them anymore. It was probably discontinued there. This was going back over 4 years ago. But fortunately, I utilized those numbers, right? And I did that for over 2 years. And then a friend of mine opened a gym here in town. And he's like, come in, we bought the Evoke machine. We'll do a scan on you and the girls. So we go over there, and like my girls came up as what they would call perfect tens. Like they had the right amount of visceral fat, the right amount of subcutaneous, adipose, everything was like spot on. And then he was like, okay, hop on, mom. And I was like, oh gosh, So I got on there, and his scale and my scale were identical. And then I got the Hume in-body scanner where you hold the little thing. And I did all three of them, and they were identical. So I was really happy to see that lighter, the cheaper one, actually, even no matter if it was right or wrong, it really doesn't matter. It's a trend, where you can watch your visceral fat, because your visceral fat tells a lot about what's going on with the blood work. So based off of your blood work, I would love to see if that visceral fat is down at like probably 3 is my guess, 3.4. I don't think you're over 5. That's for sure. I would have to say you're probably right between 3 and 5. And it's just kind of cool because that visceral fat is what's deep down inside of our organs, and we can't grab it. So there's no pinching it. There's no seeing it. And people are like, oh, I don't have any because I can't see it. You can't see it. You're right. It's inside those organs. And interestingly enough, our body can handle 22 pounds of fat and be relatively, I wouldn't say healthy, but normal. And then our body can handle 5 pounds of adipose fat. but our liver can only handle a quarter of a pound over. And if
Mm.
people could really understand how obesity is a sign of fatty liver disease, it doesn't go, you got obese and you got fatty liver. You had fatty liver and then you get obese. You would really start to see that that extra weight hanging out in the liver is killing us.
Yeah.
So if you ever decide to put your app on and do that, I would love for you to let me know, what your visceral fat is and what your body composition, even if it was completely, I mean, it's not going to be off. That's just the bottom line. But even if
I'd
it was
love
a,
to know too. I did a DEXA scan once, and I could probably bring up
oh,
that
you did.
information. But it was back in 2023 when I went to KetoCon before it became Hack Your Health, and it was a good reading. I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but I was very happy with the overall results. Even though I had put on, that was after I had done the milk thing and gained a few pounds, so I wasn't 176. I wish I'd have been that 176 when I went in there. But either way, it was still looking good. And I'd you could share with me if you want to text me that information about any app or whatever else I need to look into. I'll definitely look into trying to check that stuff
So
out because
whatever brand your scale is, if you go to the app store, it should have an app that matches your scale.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
Withings app, Withings scale. But I've had a difficult time getting it to sync up or something like that.
Oh, well, if we could get it working, that would be really cool to do. Speaking of Hack Your Health, aren't you speaking there this year?
I don't have a speaking role, but they've invited me, and they're giving me a VIP position, which is really the only compensation I get. People wonder about how I'm. Why are you hawking this and telling people you get $100 off using your discount code Dante? It's because I want to see you. I want to meet people. I want to talk to people who are like-minded, and I found that the community aspect, the getting together physically, is so much more important than we give credit to. All the YouTube stuff is great. All the Zoom calls are great, but there's nothing like being face to face with people and being able to talk about some of these things. And I think that kind of goes back to why we're, even as Christians, we're not supposed to avoid getting together as a church. Is it's important for us to get together and share our victories and share our battles and to encourage one another. And it comes differently when it's face to face.
I
And
have to agree with
that's
that
why I'm very
100%.
excited about it. And I'll have a link for that in the description for anybody who is interested in being in Hack Your Health. I wouldn't mind being a speaker, but I haven't really pushed for that. So, I mean, maybe that's what I need to do.
Yeah, I would definitely do it. I missed this year's, but I am invited for next year, and I'm also invited for I forgot his last name, but Scott invited me for the one
Everson,
that just, what's it called?
Everson. Was it Scott Everson that does
Yeah.
Meat Stock?
Yeah. And he just invited me to speak next year at that. And so I'm super excited. I'm definitely going to accept those. But for this year, for Hack Your Health, I haven't actually decided if I'm going to go yet or not. I do want to go. And the gal, I can't remember her name, maybe Jeannie. But anyway, she contacted me and she said, I would love to give you a speaking place, but there's really nowhere to put anybody at this point. And I thought that would just be great. But more importantly, like, I love what you just said. It's not just about the speaking, it's about getting together and sharing the stories. And I love the little wins, these little monumental wins that people think are nothing. They are so important each and every step. And, Carrie says it perfect as well. When we get together and we share and we realize that this is a real thing, it's not just like, we were talking about being raw and real. It's not just something you're watching on TV. It's not fake. It's not a facade. These people are real and we are really healing. And at the end of the day, Bill's going to be there. Bill
Bill
Knotts is going to
Knott,
be there.
yeah.
Yes, I'm so excited. I mean, that alone makes me want to go.
I agree. I mean, from being able to hardly get across your room and never get out of your house to being able to leave all the way from Alaska and come down here to Florida. What a transformation he's been through. God bless him.
Huge. I mean, people should come for you. They should come for him. They should come to support Healing Humanity. And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to all these people. They need it. And then, of course, as we get to go there, I have a couple clients that have gone and they've taken their cutting boards, and they've had people sign them. And, it's just that camaraderie. And like you said, bring it together and just love on each other. It is so powerful, the movement that we can have. We might be small, when you look at the globe, we are a very small community, but we're growing each and every day.
Yeah, I got to tell you, that whole thing of signing stuff for people caught me off guard. But I'm just me. But
Yeah.
I'm happy to take pictures with people, whatever makes them feel happy or makes them feel like they're closer to what they're doing, or they're happy to meet me because I influenced them. But I try not to let it go to my head. I commented about, I made one of the ad clips for Hack Your Health, and I said, you can meet your favorite carnivore stars. I was talking about the same people that are stars to me, not me. I'm just a regular guy, man. I'm just here just like you are, going through this, and thankful to be able to have encouraged people on the right path. So, but
On that note, not exactly the same, but in the same context, I guess would be a good word. When you think about the people that went to Jesus just to touch his robe, right? Like just to touch his robe. It's for some people, it is like that. It's just knowing that we support their belief and we are there to help support them and their choices. They want to come and celebrate you, Dante. I mean, you've really done a lot of work in this community. You definitely are a carnivore star because you're still walking your talk. You just didn't throw in the towel and go, okay, I'm healthy now, I'm going to go back to drinking and being crappy to people or whatever. No, you're walking your talk, you're staying steadfast. People don't really realize how many hours this takes to be able to get on, share, edit, put it back together, lighting. I think we even had some slow internet today, which if it was on my side, I apologize. I don't know if it was slow on your side or which side is being videoed, because I don't even understand any of this. So I'm like the absolute worst there. But it takes time. And our goal isn't for selfishness. Our goal is so that we can each heal each other and inspire each other and encourage each other. 100%. I mean, that's at the end of the day, looking at your blood work. I mean, like, I want to shout from the rooftops. I want to go, you guys, whatever he's doing, go follow him because he's doing it right. And that alone should make any man and woman, but men, if you need to talk, like, this is the guy to reach out to. This is who, he's walked in your shoes before and he has a way out. And I think that's really important.
Yep, here it is once again for anybody who might have missed it or came in late on the video or something like that. Just like to be able to share it all. I mean, I continually get amazing numbers, and this one just blew me away to see that my testosterone was up over 700 when it was down under 400 when I was in my mid 40s, and here I am approaching my mid 50s, and my testosterone numbers just keep rising. I don't know much about free testosterone numbers because I hear them talk about them on YouTube, but I know 76.5 is like right in the middle of this reference range. So I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, oh yeah, because it's between 250 and 1100, and you're right in there, like you're perfect. I'm sorry, that was on the testosterone total. That's like you're so spot on your 702, and on your testosterone free, you are exactly dead center.
So yeah,
So I do want to
excited
add
about
one
that.
thing to this. Since we went back to testosterone, which I think you should just really enlarge that and be looking at, I'm 702, not braggadocious, but just saying, guys, this is steak and eggs. This is steak. This is steak right here. This is like your total testosterone. Bringing that steak on board is going to help you get your libido back, get your drive back, get rid of ED. But women, we have to have testosterone too. And unfortunately, the way our body has been chemically treated from the foods that we chose, a woman's estrogen drops down. She doesn't have any testosterone, and a man's testosterone drops and his estrogen shoots up. Well, this leads to breast cancer for men. My mom's husband passed away of breast cancer. And a lot of people are like, what? Men get breast cancer? Yes. And this is a hormone cancer. The way to flatline it is bring that testosterone up. And women are like, oh, I don't want to be like, really buff. And Arnold, trust me, that's not going to happen. You would be blessed if you could do 3 to 5 pounds of muscle mass a year. That's like, that would be somebody who's working out really hard. That's not even me. And but we need this testosterone in order to live a long life. It is critical for a woman. I read blood work all day long, and women hand them to me. It's like 0, 0, 0, 0. And I'm like, okay, you need to get on a testosterone supplement. But the fastest way to do it is eat your steak. Quit being afraid of that steak. You've got to get it in there. for
And I've been
sure.
eating a lot of burger lately too because the cost of steak lately, but
Yes.
I love it. Just add that fat. Make sure you're getting that fat with it because most of the burger does not come with enough fat. I use a lot of tallow with my burger cooking and sometimes
Hey,
butter.
speaking of tallow, what's your take on bone marrow?
I love bone marrow. Oh man,
Me
that's one of
too.
my favorite things. And I've cooked them in the air fryer and they come out delicious. You get those canoe cut bones and
Yes.
I call it beef butter. It's just delicious.
It is so good. I've actually started making marrow butter. So I take my marrow out and I put it into my butter, whip it up, and we use that on the top of our ribeyes. And man, healing will come to you if you do this, you guys. Stay with it.
Amen. Yep. Well, that's boy, we said a mouthful. I didn't think we'd have this much to say. I hope folks will take the time to watch this whole video. And if you guys did
Well,
stick
might have to
around,
break it up into segments. Well, I think we're both have the gift of gab. We both have a lot to say as far as our testimonies to go. And I think our heart for Christ and being able to say, you know what, we're here to support you, but so is God. God wants your temple healthy and he wants your mind healthy. If you're feeling depressed, you feel sad, get on the meat. That's going to help a lot of that. If not, could cure all of it. If you're an addict, eating the carnivore also heals addiction. There's just so much to say. Literally, when you think about the healing that goes on inside of this complicated machine, there's a lot to say. We'll have to do it again for sure.
sounds good. I'm glad we finally got a chance to get together and talk. So
I know, right?
yeah.
And I always knew that likeness. It was kind of cool because I love your wife and I can't wait to do a live with her as well. And I just was drawn and I just saw that light of Christ. And I was just like, that's a good guy and that's a good woman. And I want you guys to have a great marriage and a great life. And I definitely want to help her keep going carnivore because when she gets over that hump, she's going to be a happy woman.
Well, she's doing much better each day and she really loves you and thanks you for what you've been doing with her too. So
Awesome. So tell her if she's not watching this or not able to hear me, I am challenging you today, Katie, to go lioness. I will send her a menu every Friday for the next 30 days. We start tomorrow. I'll send that menu over today. And for the next 30 days, she goes lioness.
all right, I'll let her know. Yeah, she's not
Okay.
here right now.
Good.
She had to work this afternoon.
Well, it's a challenge, Katie, from Coach Lisa. I'm going to come after you if you don't do it.
All right. Well, Lisa, thank you for coming on. This wasn't
you,
live.
Dante.
I didn't have it set up for a live thing. I just did a recording, but I'm going to broadcast it as it is. So it's going to come out live.
All right, you guys, take care. God bless. Love you guys. Keep praying.
We'll see you guys next time. Thank you for joining us. And
I don't know
thanks
how
for
to get
sticking
out of here,
around.
though.
Huh?
I said, I don't know. Do I end it or do you end it?
I'll end it from here and we can talk a moment if you want when we're done.
Okay, take care, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?
Hey, it's Dante Ferrigno. I just wanted to thank you first of all for watching this video, but I also wanted to tell you about my merch shop. I have a link in the description for a bunch of different items I've put together for you to be able to show your support for the carnivore lifestyle, and every purchase helps me to keep doing what I'm doing here on Ferrigno Freedom.